You're listening to the Crew Book Club podcast, the show that challenges you to change your mindset through hearing about dope books. Thanks for hanging with the crew to get advice, ask questions, and gain knowledge with me, your host, Sade Hill. What up, crew? What's good? Are you guys ready for another episode of the Crew Book Club podcast? I am. Hey, can I get a yes, sis? I am feeling so good today. I feel like it's just I just feel good. I don't know how else to explain it. I feel good. I feel happy. I feel like this book is definitely helping me find even more peace with setting my boundaries, reclaiming myself. It's all about that. And I just feel like I'm living in that. And I hope you're living in that as well. If you're not feeling good, sis, that's okay. Hopefully after listening to this podcast, you would be like, yes, girl, let's take over the world together. I'm feeling good. Let's spread positive energy, okay? Let's not sit in that for too long, okay? Because if not, we're going to start smelling like it. All right? So let's just go ahead and hop into some Who Gonna Check Me Boo God Is, because he always checking us. We love and welcome a good check. It keeps us on our toes. It keeps us motivated. It keeps us going. It lets us know that our Father is here and he is taking care of us because he wants us on the right path, right? So the Who Gonna Check Me Boo comes from a actual devotional that I'm reading in the Bible app. You know, occasionally I hop on there and look for those because sometimes when you're reading the Bible, you're just reading it, but having those guidance will also help and give you some motivation as well and some eye openers. So download the Bible app. I absolutely love having it at my fingertips. And this particular devotional is called I Am 7 Keys to Unlock Your Future. I'm on day 4, and the title of day 4 was I Am Secure. Yes, I am secure. We are secure. We're going to be secure together, sis. Okay? One of the key points out of the devotional was our security is not found in our ability to control our lives. It is found in God himself. Your current failures, immaturity, weaknesses, or fears don't cause your Father to run from you. He isn't ashamed of you, even if you are ashamed of you. He is committed to helping you grow in security. Declare this with me, crew. I am secure, so I live from a place of peace. Yes, with everything that we're surrounding ourselves, I told y'all, I am all about peace. You know, the book we're reading, set boundaries, find peace, and God to reclaiming yourself, and knowing that my relationship in God is not about my current failures, my immaturity, or my weaknesses, or my fears, because me and my Father have that relationship, and I am secure, and so in him, I will find peace. And I was just like, yes, with everything that's going on in the world, and people are like, how do you keep a smile on your face? How do you not fret? Especially being in real estate. I hear agents freaking out all the time, but I'm like, I have so much peace and trust in my God that I'm secure. God gonna secure my bag for me as long as I continue to put in a word, continue to be optimistic and hopeful in him. And that's all that matters. The scripture really hit in Romans 8:31. It says, what shall we say about such wonderful things are these? If God is for us, who ever be against us? No one, okay? You don't know who I serve? You better stop playing with me. That's all I got to say. So that was the Who Gonna Check Me Boo God Is. He is always checking us, and we welcome and love a good chizak, okay? So let's get into some crew love. Now, I know y'all vibing with me because I see y'all sharing it. I see y'all watching the stories. I see you guys interacting with the post. But I need you guys to leave a review on the Apple Podcast. I would really, really love and appreciate it to the utmost. Show me some crew love by leaving a review on the Apple Podcast. And, you don't have no phone? You don't have no iPhone? Okay. Your sister, cousin, friend, daddy, sister, cousin had got an iPhone. Grab somebody's iPhone, leave a review so I can share it with the crew. I would really appreciate it. And also leave that 5-star rating because I'm going to continue to give you guys 5-star information. Okay? And to my YouTubers, please subscribe and follow the page as well. All right? So just a reminder, this book is on Audible. If you go to the show notes, you can click on the link and get a free 30-day premium experience with Audible with the Crew Love. If you're, you can also go to www.audibletrail.com/crewlove and get your free 30-day there. I'm going to tell you, I'm also hearing good things about the Viola book that just came out. She's actually narrating the book. I think that'll be a dope experience. So take advantage of that Crew Love that we have with Audible, okay? All right. Let's get into these chapters. First of all, we're going to hop into 3 chapters. And the first chapter is 7, Blurred Lines, Make It Plain. Okay? Make it real plain. In chapter 8, we're going to talk about trauma and boundaries. In chapter 9, we're going to talk about what are you doing to honor your boundaries. These are all titles from the book. Okay, so first chapter 7, Blurred Lines, Make It Plain. I don't know, how you ever been in church and be like, make it plain, pastor, make it plain. That's how I be feeling about when I'm talking and communicating with people. You know what I cannot stand? I can't stand when people beat around the bush. Say what you got to say. And I used to be a person that acknowledged when people beat around the bush. Now I just let them beat. I just let them beat around the bush instead of being direct and forward with me. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time to be reading between the lines. I ain't got time to be guessing. Say what you need to say and let's move forward. So when people beat around the bush with me, I let them beat. I don't say nothing. I'm like, oh, okay. If you can't directly ask me that question, we ain't even, I'm not finna play the guessing game with you. Okay. So I like how she gets into that. And for those who are giving unsolicited advice, have several seats in the bag. I didn't ask you. I didn't. If I wanted your advice, I would ask. And that's something that I'm learning too. When my friends come to me, which I'm learning from the book, which we're going to get into that. Sometimes I have to ask, do you want my advice or you just want me to listen? Because half the time, people just want you to listen. Okay, so she talks about blurred boundaries on page 121. And so we're going to get into that first. What are blurred boundaries? I'm glad you asked. Okay, blurred boundaries occur when we aren't explicitly clear about what we want, need, or expect from the other person. Instead of being direct, we may gossip or tell others what we want. We may infringe on the boundaries of others by offering unsolicited advice about how they engage with people or by pushing our values on the other person. Whew. That gossiping in terms of other people, instead of going to tell the person exactly what they want, you are wasting your time and energy. Because I feel like when we do that, we end up venting how we feel to the wrong person instead of going to the right person. And then you wondering why you find yourself in that circle of loop of being vexed about being around a person. Like, they don't even know that you got an issue with them, but you done spilled your guts to other people that you didn't say it to the right person. You know what I'm saying? So for me, if we friends, I would rather you spill your guts to me, no matter how rude it may come off, but I would rather you do it to me than to anybody else. Because half the time, it's a misunderstanding and a whole bunch of what ifs in your mind that went to a whole another level that it wasn't even supposed to be in. And if you would have just asked me or told me how you felt in that moment, we could have killed all of that. You know what I'm saying? So we want to get away from having blurred boundaries, and we just want to keep it straight and to the point. Okay. We want to stop beating around the bush and just let people know what it is. Okay. All right. So some of the blurred boundaries, she gives us 4: gossiping, telling people how to live their lives, instructing others as to what they should and shouldn't do, and pushing your values on others. Okay, I talked about this a little bit in another episode. Like, I have refrained from saying what I would do or da-da-da-da-da because you ain't me and I ain't you. And half the time, we don't even know the full story. We know one side. and what they projected from the other person's perspective instead of actually speaking to the other person. So I'm like, I'm gonna stay over here. Okay. So one of the ones I want to touch base on is telling people how to live their lives. It's on page 121, and it starts by saying, sometimes help, solicited or unsolicited, from others comes from strings attached. I get to tell you how to live your life. When we share a problem with someone, they may consider it helpful if they say, you need to blank. This is a common boundary issue between adults over the age of 18 and their parents who struggle to stop telling their kids what they should do. And it may be hard to just listen without offering advice as people share their problems, but this is often the best support we can give. Telling people what to do with their lives doesn't allow them to work through their own issues. Try this question, she says. Do you want empathy or a strategy right now? Ooh, that is so deep. Another question is, you could say, do you want me to listen or offer some feedback? Allowing people the opportunity to choose how they want you to engage is profoundly showing a way to support them as they share with you. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Pew, pew. Like, bombs dropped. Like, that whole statement will save you a lot of confusion and projecting. And then when people do make a decision, they won't, and it goes awry, they won't feel like, well, you told me to do that. And it's like, you got to give people the opportunity to figure out their own things at times. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to get advice and come up with a strategy if it's welcomed. But then ultimately, you have to let people figure things out for themselves, and you have to make the best decision for yourself. Okay? That part about this is a common boundaries between adults over the age of 18 and their parents who struggle to stop telling their kids what they should do. Child, ain't nothing but a word. I think me and my mom struggle with this. A little backstory. I got married to my husband without telling nobody. We eloped. And then I think we popped up Christmas and was like, we married. And for years, my mama felt a type of way. You know, I feel like back in the day, it was a thing because parents were taking care of them. But at that time, my mama had cut me off because I had my oldest daughter. She wasn't playing. You know, she wasn't giving me any financial assistance. So I don't know how you could have an opinion about my life. But for years, I kind of carried that thinking I should be doing things based on what it would look like to her. But I had to let that go because it came with resentment and other issues. And I do think it's very hard to pull away from doing that relationship with our parents because it's an emotional connection. And so we have to learn how to get away from that. And that's a very hard boundary to walk away from. So I completely understand. And that's one of the reasons why your girl had to be up in therapy. Childhood trauma, child. But anyway, that was the one that really hit for blurred lines for me. And also, I had to learn how to make it plain, even to my mom. And it was a tough conversation. She hung up on me a few times. But I think now it's getting better in a sense of, okay, Sade is an adult. She's making the proper decisions, and I can't run her life. As parents, we cannot run our kids' life. God has blessed us the opportunity to have them, and we can do our best, but it is not our responsibility on what their purpose and will is for God. That's God's child at the end of the day. We can only ask God to help guide us to raise them and then keep it pushing. Keep it P. Okay? So I really that was really one of the highlights in chapter 7 for me. Blurred lines, make it plain. That was the one I wanted to focus on, telling people how to live their lives. Okay? Now, let's get into another part of chapter 7 I thought was important. Did you know ultimatums are healthy? I kind of feel like we have this bad connotation about ultimatums. Oh, they giving me an ultimatum. Nah. I ain't messing with them. You can't tell me, you can't put me in that position. But in actuality, ultimatums are healthy. It says here on page 125, when you use them as a tool to execute and follow through on your boundaries, attaching them to reasonable consequences like the ones she mentioned above, and she gives some examples of that. Ultimatums aren't healthy when your consequences are punitive or when you threaten people into doing what you want. This is where intention is everything. Like how you're using your ultimatum is everything, whether it's healthy or unhealthy. These are some examples of healthy ultimatums. She gives us 3. Healthy ultimatums are, example, if you aren't ready to leave by 7 o'clock, I will take a taxi there without you. If I find out you're drinking again, I won't loan you money. If you don't tell me what you want for dinner, I'll decide in the next hour. Women, we be guilty. Oh, babe, it don't matter. Get whatever. And then they be like, okay, I'm going to get yada, yada, yada. Oh, well, I ain't really got a taste for that. Okay. I mean, that's a healthy ultimatum, so you can't even be mad at that, okay? A unhealthy ultimatum would be, we need to have kids or else. If you go out with your friends, I'm not talking to you for the rest of the week. Ooh, controlling. Not good. If you don't work late tonight, I'm not giving you the time off that you requested. You ain't a job for me. I don't know if I told y'all before, but when I was working for Nordstrom, I remember like the schedule is supposed to be made 3 weeks in advance. It's in the handbook. And when I was a visual merchandiser, there was times where we needed to reset the entire floor. And my manager would literally change the schedule like on a Thursday. And I'm like, I got kids. And I told you this before. And the moment he complained about me coming in 10 minutes late, I was like, oh, nope, I'm out. So, and that was a boundary I had to set with my darn self. I had to be like, these are the things I would not tolerate. Ain't no money in the world that'll make me compromise myself or my boundaries at this point in life. So I thought that was really good how she gave examples of healthy ultimatums. Understand ultimatums are healthy, but we have to be careful what our intent is with the ultimatums. Okay. I love how she puts this, accepting and letting go of people when they don't honor your ultimatums or your boundaries. On page 129, it talks about it. She says, ending a relationship isn't a sign that you no longer care about other people. It's an indicator of self-love, self-care, healthy boundaries, bravery, and your desire to be well. Terminating a relationship will mimic the grief process. You may feel depression, anger, confusion, and bargaining. Your ultimate goal is to come to a place of acceptance that you aren't able to change others and that you try to do your part in repairing relationships. I was listening to The Breakfast Club, and a young lady was saying on Ask Ye whether she should feel bad about cutting off her mom because her mom married somebody who violated her as a kid, if I'm getting the story right. But basically, it was just like, sometimes we get so caught up on who we're cutting off or who we're in a relationship and what they mean in our lives. But we have to put ourselves first, and we have to do what's healthy for us at the end of the day. And sometimes removing yourself from that person because they did what they felt like they needed to do. So you have to do what you feel like you need to do. I don't care how close you are or how long you know someone. Until you can heal and be around them maybe in the future, you have to take care of yourself, okay? So cutting people off, sometimes you just have to do that, and you have to accept it and let it go. And you might feel depressed. You might feel anger. You might feel confused. But think about what you'll be feeling if you continue to stay in that situation, okay? So I love how she put that. Another thing I really liked on page 132 in chapter 7, and I'm going to end it here. It says, the task of breaking a bad habit is like uprooting a powerful oak within us. And the task of building a good habit is like cultivating a delicate flower one day at a time. Yes, it's easy to stay in that comfort zone and to deal with what you've been dealing with, to deal with the mess, because your body has come used to it. You've been embedded in it. You've grown in it. You know, like an oak tree, and it's hard to get out. But just remember, as we build these good habits, it's like cultivating a delicate flower. And when that flower blooms and grows and you put that much work in, you become a savage about your peace. Okay? So just take your time in building these good habits, okay? So let's get into chapter 8, and it's trauma and boundaries. Oh, If you tell me you ain't never experienced trauma, I don't care. And it's not a money thing. I wanted us to stop associating money with trauma. All right. So let's get into chapter 8. One of the things that stood out to me, common issues experienced by adults who experience abuse or neglect, on page 141. And it says, wanting to help everyone even without the means to do so, working nonstop, loaning people money who prove they won't pay it back, oversharing in hopes to receiving love, fearing conflict, having low self-esteem, being unable to make decisions without input from others. These are signs that we have had experiences of abuse and neglect. And I can't tell you, I hit some of these. People pleasing was on there. And I just felt like once we know how to recognize those things that are abuse and neglect, and you might be like, wow, I didn't know that. Girl, we got to get in therapy to heal. Like I tell y'all, God therapy, that's double wham. That's some self-help right there. Okay. Now she does have a part about how secrecy impacts the ability to communicate boundaries on page 145. And I'm gonna just talk about that childhood trauma, because if you grew up in a Black household, you already know. You heard this saying, what happens in this house stays in this house. But we are hiding. We're covering up all that pain and, that pressure that you feel because you don't have nowhere to express that. And that grows into our adulthood when we're in corporate and we feel like, oh, but if I say something, I might ruin this, that, and the other. But you're dealing with all that guilt, depression, and all of that is happening because you have become uncomfortable with sharing those things. Even what's happening in your relationship and those trauma, because you feel like it's wrong. That's why they say what happens in this house stays in this house. But that's why I feel like therapy is so important. If you don't have that tribe or crew directly connected to you that you can trust to have those conversations with, and maybe they're not even equipped to do that, that's why it's so important to have therapy, okay? And that's why your girl got you. Therapy is self-care. I want us to start understanding that self-care is not always about shopping and spending money. Those are temporary fixes, okay? Let's start, maintaining our mental health, as the author gives examples on page 147. Operating in a role as a sibling instead of parenting your siblings. I don't know where we get, that's not our responsibility. I had to learn that. Also, asking what you need, checking in less often with people who drain your energy, not using your past as a reason to avoid proceeding with life, teaching yourself things that you weren't taught in childhood, finances, investments. Those things are self-care. Yes, going to the spa, cool. That's a lot of coin. But that same coin you spend on the spa for that temporary fix, let's put that into mental health, okay? And like I said, therapy is self-care. The ability to equip yourself with tools to heal and change your life, that will forever be worth more than anything. So, as you know, we are partnered up with BetterHelp, the sponsor of this episode. And I highly recommend it, even if you just do it for the first 30 days. You're like, I ain't like it. Okay, cool. But I need you to try it. Let this be your self-care. We're going into Mental Health Awareness Month. Let this be your self-care. Give yourself an opportunity to try therapy. Go to BetterHelp.com/crewlove. That's BetterHelp.com/crewlove. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed when you really invest your time in therapy. Like I said, it's easy to do. You get on there. If you don't like the therapist they pick for you, you can rotate, find another one. But I definitely want you to try, okay? You get 10% off your first month. Give it a shot. The link will be in the show notes. That's all I'm saying. Let's try using that as a form of self-care next month instead of you spending your money at the spa. Okay? I'm telling you, it's going to be worth it. All right? So let's get into chapter 9. Let's finish that up. What are you doing to honor your boundaries? Okay? On page 149, the author hits this quote right off the bat. Before we teach others to respect our boundaries, we must learn to honor them ourselves. Okay? Point blank, period. That's the dig. Yourself. You got to honor yourself first. Okay? She says, first of all, what do you think and say about your inner self on page 156? Let's talk about that. Because we be talking to ourselves the worst way. Your thoughts. Yes. Quote, page 156. Just like you might stop someone else from talking to you a certain way, you can stop talking to yourself in a certain way. Okay? Talk nice to yourself. You've been telling everybody else to talk nice to me, but you need to be talking nice to yourself. Right here, in that brain of yours, you need to turn that negative mindset off. She gives us some mantras for self-kindness. Oh, I like that. You got self-care. You got self-kindness. Let's practice all of that. Look in the mirror. Have your Easter Ray moment. And you're going to be like, I will be okay. Yes, I did my best. They didn't deserve me. Okay? Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Boundaries to consider when practicing self-kindness. Speak to yourself gentle, as if you were talking to a small child. A lot of times we have that inner child trauma that we haven't grown from. But if you were to look at a picture of yourself, what would you tell your younger self? How would you talk to your younger self? Talk to yourself in that way. She says, I coach myself in awkward moments. Girl, I can't tell y'all how many times I went to the bathroom before a listing appointment and had to hype myself up. Okay, allow myself to make mistakes without judging myself harshly. Always say it. It's better to do something than to not do something at all. And if we make a mistake, we learn from it. We keep it pushing. Don't call yourself names. Like, it may sound like bitch, but no, be like, girl, superwoman, you got this. Like, speak those positive words into yourself. And also, she says, I don't make mean comments about myself either in my mind or out loud in front of others. When you're talking to someone about you, I'm a failure, I didn't do this, be like, I did my best. I showed up. I did what I could do. And if you really were doing your best, you can't be no more proud than yourself than when you do your best. And sis, when you do your best. So don't play yourself. Okay? So I really love how she gives those ways to communicate to how to communicate to ourselves. Talk nice to yourself first. That same face you put on when you go to work for customer service, do that to yourself. Okay? We gotta be able to be good to ourselves and honor ourselves before we can be out here honoring other people. No. Okay? Honor yourself first before you honor other people. Point blank. Okay, those were chapters 7, 8, and 9. I'm telling y'all need to deep dive into this. There's some other things she talk about, what we need to normalize, keeping the words to yourself. Like, when you say you're going to do something because the only person you disappointing is yourself. Yeah, stop self-sabotaging. Oh, wait, I got to hit that. These are signs of self-sabotage because I had to recognize these myself. Procrastinating, getting close to a goal and quitting it, staying in relationships that are unhealthy, not keeping your word to yourself, setting unrealistic goals, not trying, carrying a negative narrative story about yourself and your abilities. Sis, stop self-sabotaging. Do the darn thing. Set small goals too. I realize, like I've always said, we tend to set goals and be like, we'll do A, B, and C, quit at D, and be mad that we didn't get to Z. What the heck wrong with you? Every day I try to set a small goal to accomplish something. That way I know I did something towards my goal today. So definitely stop self-sabotaging and let's talk nice to ourselves, okay? Use direct language that will bring joy to you, your inner self. I really want you to do that. And I like this last quote she has. Confidence in your boundaries is the cure for self-sabotage. So let's be confident in ourselves. Let's teach ourselves inner confidence, and then we can exude outer confidence, okay? Yes, sis. Let's get it. Let's stop self-sabotaging and get into self-building, okay? So let's get into the challenge of the week. Woo! Challenge of the week is practice what you preach. Okay, this was inspired by the book on page 159. It says, create an idea of the type of people you want in your life. Now, ask yourself, am I being the person I want to attract? Do I have something to offer these people that I want to attract? Practice what you preach. You walking around wanting, I want successful friends. I want friends who doing things in life. I want friends who making money. I want friends who making the right decisions financially, mentally. But sis, are you making those decisions? Are you reflecting the person that you want to be? So let's practice what we preach this to ourselves and what we want, and let's be the person that we want to be surrounded around. Okay, so write down all those criteria of the people that you want to surround yourself this week and start practicing being that person. Okay, so yes, do that. Now let's get into what would the crew do. Ask advice. And I didn't receive any questions directly from you, crew, but I was inspired again by this Breakfast Club episode, and it was a lady who was cheated on like 25 times, and they talked about DJ Envy's and Gia's new book. I can't think of the title right now, but I definitely want to read that too. But one of the things that Gia says was, he didn't cheat on me, he cheated on himself, when referencing in an interview that she had with DJ Envy cheating. And the lady calling her Breakfast Club, she was like, should she get the book or whatnot, or should she stay or something like that? And I'm asking y'all, like, what would you do? Stay or leave? I'll post it on LG so you guys can respond to it. But this is my take. I feel like, yes, he may have cheated on you physically, but he was cheating on himself. And to cheat with 25 people, there's something going on mentally. But it also made me prompt the question, like I've heard other people say, other successful women, like they not dating nobody that's not in therapy. And I kind of feel like this is one of those things where you need to separate mentally and decide, okay, this is something I want to put up with, or this is something I don't want to put up with. And if you're willing to put up with that, I think you need to equip yourself in therapy to find out what self-reflection is happening that will allow you to put up with someone cheating on you for 25 times. Sometimes when we accept certain behavior, it's not that we want that type of behavior. It's what we feel like our self-worth is. And I think a lot of times when we're in relationships with anybody, significant other, siblings, family, friends, we have to evaluate, what is my self-worth? Why am I allowing these things to happen? And that's why when you're trying to self-discover, sometimes looking at yourself in the mirror, you don't know what is triggering that. And I feel like when you go into therapy, it helps unpack those things. So if you're having issues with figuring out self-worth and self-awareness, I highly suggest therapy so you can see how something can be triggering, so you can unpack those things to be a better you, and how you can see, why am I allowing people to treat me this way, and why I'm willing to stay to put up with these certain things. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to post it. I'm going to make sure I post it first thing Monday morning so we can talk about it. Okay? So yes, that was What Would the Crew Do? Ask advice. Now, I can't leave y'all without giving y'all the quote of the week. Hey, the quote of the week comes from page 134. It reads, boundaries are not walls. A wall keeps people out, while boundaries show people how to exist in a relationship with you. Okay, let's teach people how to handle us. Let's teach people how to stay in relationship with us so we can be in what? Peace. Thank you for hanging with the Crew Book Club podcast. Hey. Want to be a part of the crew? Hit that follow button so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, we would appreciate you showing crew love by rating the show on iTunes and Spotify. Don't keep all this goodness to yourself. Share and tell a friend so your whole crew can be growing with you. Let me be the first to tell you, thank you and welcome to the crew.